Greetings hobbyists, this is Artisans of Vool. And in this video we're solving a practical problem with 3D scanning, 3D design and then 3D printing. So I'm in the process of moving house, and in the new house I've put in this glorified shed that is going to be my workshop. But I have some items that are pretty heavy, so I thought it'd be a good idea for one of the entrances into the shed to build a ramp. But there's an issue. Between the ramp and the door frame, there's quite a notable lip, which I'm going to have to get objects over. Now, while I'm not particularly adept at woodwork and made a number of claims during the process of building this ramp, like, I'm pretty sure that wasn't straight to begin with, this lip is not my fault. It's just there so that there's overlap between the door and the door frame. So what we're going to need to do is build some sort of little mini ramp to go over this, so I can wheel in the heavier items and not cause a load of damage to the woodwork. So we started with the Pop 3 Plus 3D scanner from Revopoint. This is perfect for the job as it scans really well outside, whereas blue laser line scanners would have had issues with this. We're using this in marker mode because feature tracking wouldn't work. It's a very uniform piece of wood. Though honestly, it's very rare that I would suggest buying those 3D markers. You can create your own 3D marker objects like this just with a 3D printer and adding some of the stickers yourself. Now what's great about the Pop 3 is I could have done this totally without a computer, but I had a PowerPoint there so I used the laptop anyway. And we're scanning this using Revopoint's new scanning software, which is RevoScan 6. It's very much the same as RevoScan 5, so all of the buttons are really familiar. Though I will say when I got onto processing this, and maybe it was that it was a very simple object, this did seem faster and more efficient. So I'm liking RevoScan 6 a lot so far. I've done a video going through using RevoScan 5. If people are interested, I can do one going through RevoScan 6 as well. It's free software for using with the Revopoint scanners. So with our 3D scan done, let's bring that into Blender and get going. So I'm just going to click this cube and delete it. Now I've got my screencast keys in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm not going to go through this particularly slowly because I'm more using this to demonstrate what we can do in Blender. But I will mention when I'm using any extensions or add-ons, so I think there's only going to be one that I'm going to use that's got any cost to it. So we're just going to import this, and often you find you can't see this very easily. The easiest way to find it is click it and then hit the decimal point on your number pad. And then you'll notice if we zoom out, we can't see this. That's because of our clipping. If we just hit N and go to view, this is designed so that Blender, if we zoom out, can't see everything. Otherwise, in renders and stuff like that, it can really slow it down. But in this instance, we want to see more. So we're just going to add our clipping end, to just put an extra 0 on it, and then we've got no issue with that. So we're going to want to move this up, so let's just G to move it up, and we're going to want our origin to be on this object. So I'm going to use the 3D Viewport Pi add-on or extension. It's totally free, so just activate that, and then origin to mass or geometry, and then now we can rotate this around our origin here. And what we're going to do is just line this up, because what we want to do is use this as the bottom surface. So effectively we're going to trace around a cross section of this, so we need to make our cross section first of all and then use that to build our ramp, because this is all obviously the same. It is uniform as it goes across. That's why I could only scan, or only needed to scan, a small section of it. So let's come to this axis and then we'll just R to rotate this round. I'm going to eyeball this but try to be as accurate as I can. So I'm just making sure this top plane is in line with our red line, which is our x-axis. That looks pretty good. Let's come to our side and do the same thing. I think that looks okay there, but we'll come back and look at this in a second. And then from our Z axis, we're just going to R and rotate this around. And I'm just going to use this gap. We'll come back to the gap in a second and talk about that. And then move that to about there. And then finally here. And then, yeah, this top surface is way off. It wouldn't be a problem, but I'm just going to change it to about there. Right, so, yeah, that looks okay. So what we want is a cross section through this, something that hits pretty much all of these surfaces. So I'm thinking somewhere like through here should be okay. Now I don't want to work on all of this in one go, so I'm just going to make a thin like section, a cross section. So I'm just going to cube, S to scale that up a bit, G here, and then let's hit S and Shift and X to basically enlarge this in every direction other than the X-axis. And then I can shift click here, and then I'm going to use hard dots for this. You could do this normally over here as setting up a boolean. If you don't use Blender or haven't used it before, I'll put a link to my beginner series which covers booleans. So you can do this without an add-on like Hardops and Box Cutter. They're the only paid ones we're going to use. Or actually, we could do this with ND. So let's just Shift and 2, and then we're going to go to booleans and then intersection. So ND is a free extension. There we go. I'll try and keep this as free as possible until I get a bit lazy towards the end because I just want to save myself some time. Now, let's just H to hide this, and we can just about see this, but it's not the easiest thing to see. So what we're going to do is just make this easier because we're going to need to trace around this. I could do this, but I imagine from a YouTube perspective, this isn't going to be the clearest to see on your phone. So I'm just going to click this, and then I'm going to add a modifier, and then let's go to a solidify modifier, click on that, and then we're just going to up our thickness somewhere there-ish. Okay, now this is getting a bit mixed up here. If I just turn this off here, you can see that the data on this is not perfect, and that's probably because I scanned from this angle, and you can see this angle's really good, really nice smooth surfaces, and I kind of came over here really quickly and then came back, which was, well, my bad. But it's going to be fine, and I know what I'm doing with this. I knew I can work that out, basically. So we could have spent some more time scanning, but it's not that big a project. Just get it done quickly. So from this point, we're going to mesh, and I'm going to go to single vert and then a single vert. If you don't have single vert, again, that's a free extension. Just so you know, I will mention this briefly. Just go to get extensions here, just as an example, extra, and then we've got extra mesh object. Same thing for ND, same thing for the 3D viewport pie menu. So that's where you get it from. And then in edit mode, I'm just going to G, and you can see this going all the way over here. And I'm sort of going to go approximately where this surface is. E to extrude it, come along here a bit. I'm not going to worry about those little gaps. E to move that up, E to move across, and we've got to this gap. Now this gap, this was basically a bit of blackish or dark brown rubber, and that's where the door closes onto and it makes the seal. Now 3D scanning does not like black objects. It has a real problem with them, unless you use something like 3D scanning spray, which I could have done, but again, I know that the rubber part starts here. Let's just actually go a little bit further back, and then just goes pretty much straight upwards. So I'm just going to go to there, and then carries on across here. So I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to go with this to about there. If I wanted to, I can come here and just hide that solidify modifier to get this about right. Come here, E to extrude that down. I think this data is probably just a little bit messy because of the angle I went on, but let's just G and then Y and bring that there just to be on the safe side. This will still make this structurally fine. And then select here. Let's just bring back that solidify modifier to make this easier to see. In fact, let's G and Z that up a bit. E to extrude that across. E down here. And then this is the last of the ledges. So I'm just going to E to down there. And then E for that final bit, which is basically the floor of the inside of the shed. So there we go. We've got our outline. Now, to turn this into a ramp or an object, all I'm going to do is select that vertex, E to extrude up, E somewhere over here, and then I'm just going to select everything and then hit F. And we're pretty good on our shape. If I hit E, we can extrude this out, and we can determine our thickness this needs to be. In our M panel, let's go to item, and we've got our thickness in the X direction here, pretty actually dead on. I wanted this about 15 centimeters wide, so that's 150 millimeters, so type in 150, and we're good to go on that. Then I'm going to cut out this shape to make our ramp, so I need to cut out the top surface. For this, I'm going to use Box Cutter. You could do this in exactly the same way that I've done here. So I've shown you how to make a shape using a vertex, and then you could boolean this out. But I'm going to use Box Cutter, so just Alt and W, D, and go into our Ngon Cutter. Things like Box Cutter do really, really save you a lot of time. So let's go something like there, across, and then down something like that. And then I'm just going to double click, drag through, and you can see this is cutting this out. But what we're going to do is hit X and then X again, and this is going to make a intersection. There we go, and we're good to go. Now at this point we can click here, H to hide that, and we've got our final object. Let's W to come out of Box Cutter, select this, and this should work. We've got a distance here of what, like 26. I could make this less shallow on this side maybe. Let's queue. This is hard ops, and people often buy box cutter with hard ops. There's a bundle. I can select that cutter, though you can always come up here and find the cutters or whatever object you've used. Let's select these vertices there, G, and just make that a little bit less, and then select these ones there, G, and then make that a bit less there. There we go. That probably is going to be a bit of a better shape for our ramp. H to hide that, and then we've got this ready to go. File, export, STL. Make sure you click selection only, so it's only exporting that object, and we could name this if we want to. Let's call this mini ramp, and then export STL. And then we can come into whatever slicer we want. I'm going to use Bamboo Studios, find our file, and then just drag it in. There we go. Now, this probably isn't the best way to print it. It's going to need a load of supports. What could I do here? So let's just select lay on face, and we could do that face, and that should be okay for our 3D print. And yeah, 20mm strength is probably about right, and then we can slice this and get 3D printing. So a couple of 3D prints later, and we've got two little mini ramps that's going to serve our purpose. But that aside, this is what's so great about 3D printing and 3D design. We can knock something up relatively quickly, set it printing, go away, come back, and we've got what we needed to solve our problem. Love it. I have got a range of other things that I need to sort out in the new workshed, so if you want to see more videos like this with practical uses of 3D scanning, 3D design and 3D printing, let me know in the comments section. Hope to see you in the next one, and have a great day.